Let's see the chat. You might enjoy checking the first line of the Advent of Code About page. About. Hi, I'm Eric Wastl. Are you serious? Bro, are you actually serious? Wait, is this real? There's no way, dude. Are you... Yo! What? This is wild! What? Dude, this is sick. Are you kidding me? Oh my god, hold on. I'm processing this. You waited until the end to throw that in there. You waited. That's amazing. And you've been chilling here for a while. Oh my god. Red Nose reports. Fortunately, the first location the historians want to search isn't a long walk from the chief historian's office. While the Red-Nosed Reindeer nuclear fusion fission plant appears to contain no sign of the chief historian, the engineers there run up to you as soon as they see you. Apparently, they still talk about the time Rudolph was saved through molecular synthesis from a single electron. This is wild. I didn't realize Advent of Code was actually insane, but I respect it. They're quick to add that. Since you're already here, they really appreciate your help analyzing some unusual data from the Red-Nosed reactor. You turn to check if the historians are waiting for you, but they seem to have already divided into groups that are currently searching every corner of the facility. You offer to help with the unusual data. Of course, that's my strong suit. The unusual data, your puzzle input, consists of many reports, one report per line. Each report is a list of numbers called levels that are separated by spaces. For example, this. Okay. This example data contains 6 reports, each containing 5 levels. Okay, so each report is a line and each level is separated by spaces. Okay, cool. The engineers are trying to figure out which reports are safe. The Red-Nosed reactor safety system can only tolerate levels that are either gradually increasing or gradually decreasing. So a report only counts as safe if both of the following are true. The levels are either all increasing or all decreasing. Any 2 adjacent levels differ by at least 1 and at most 3. Okay, so they have to go up, they have to go down, but they can go up by 1, they can go up by 2, they can go up by 3, or they can go down by 1, down by 2, down by 3, and if they go up, then the rest of them have to go up, and if they go down, the rest of them have to go down. Okay, cool. Let's see, this makes sense so far. In the example above, the reports can be found safe or unsafe by checking these rules. 7, 6, 4, 2, 1, that looks safe. 1, 2, 7, that's too big of a jump. 2 and 7 is an increase of 5, yeah. 9, 7, 6, 2, 1 looks unsafe because 6 to 2 is a big jump. Yes. 1, 3, 2. Nope, you went up then down. That's unsafe. 8, 6, 4, 4. Nope, that's repeating. So that is not safe. 1, 3, 6, 7, 9 looks safe. Safe because, okay, cool. So my intuition is right when I look at these numbers. Awesome. And it is so difficult to take an intuition and turn that into code. That's why I love these puzzles. Like intuitively, a human can look at this and be like, oh yeah. But to actually code it takes time. But once you have it coded, then it works perfectly. Let's see. So in this example, 2 reports are safe. Analyze the unusual data from the engineers. How many reports are safe? To begin, get your puzzle input. Cool. I'm going to get my puzzle input. So for the example input, we will do this. All right. Cool. And what was the final thing? Oh, how many are safe? You just have to report how many are safe. We'll call it calculate safe reports. User bin env bash, cool. And then we'll calculate how many reports are safe. So we have to loop over the example input data and we have to break them into any sort of level. Is it always, it's not always 5 levels, is it? I don't think so. I'm going to assume an arbitrarily large number of levels and an arbitrarily large number of reports. I don't think it's anything persistent, but that's okay. So what we can do is we can read the data while read -r line do done echo line. So this command, this won't do anything special. It'll just read the data line by line and that's it. So if we read it in from the example input, we will just get the same output back that we put in the input. That makes sense. We haven't done any work here yet. So what we can do is instead of read-r line, we could call this levels, and we could put an A here. The A reads it to an array. So now we'll have an array called levels. So if we were to do this, the array notation to separate them all by whatever the inner field separator is, internal field separator, whatever it's called. I don't know, IFS. Cool, that works. So what we have here is levels is an array of all possible values. We can actually just define a function up here called process report, because this will process just one individual report, and a report has a series of levels. And what we can do is we can say local levels equals a new array of whatever the arguments are. And then down here, instead of doing this, we can actually pass it to process report. Okay, so for anyone confused as to what's going on, basically what I'm doing here is I'm reading the file line by line, and for each line, I'm reading every single number as a big array. Then I'm breaking that array immediately as arguments. So think about this like a function. For every line, we call this function, and the arguments are every single level in that report. So the arguments get passed here. So for an example, I could, print, this is just an example. We could just do levels 0, which will, of course, be the first index level. And if we were to do this, we would just get the first line. So 719181. Okay, which is just the first numbers as they appear here. That's all I'm doing. So now we have a function that can handle one or the other, because the beauty of this puzzle is we don't need to look at the things that came before it. We can process each line as its own separate data set. They're not affected by what came, above or, before or after it, which is super nice. Makes it really easy. So now what we have to do is we have to figure out if the number is ascending or descending, and then make sure that everything fits that. So I think we're going to break this into two. I'm trying to think. I think we should break this into two steps. We should determine if it's ascending or descending based on the first thing we see, and then we should assert that everything is the same. So if the first two numbers are ascending, every other number has to be ascending. If the first two numbers are descending, every subsequent number has to be descending. On top of that, we should also just check every single number with the number before it to make sure that its distance is 1, 2, or 3. So we should do 2 checks to mark it as safe or unsafe. And I'll do this in an iterative fashion, so we'll kind of just slowly approach the correct way of doing it. So in order for this data I'm going to assume the data is valid. And what I mean by that is there's going to be at least 2 levels in a report. Again, I don't remember if they said that there will always be 5, but I'm going to assume there's at least 2, because you would need 2 to determine if it's going up or down or to calculate the first distance. So that's what we're going to do here. And so the beauty of that is we can just say num1 equals levels 0. num2 equals levels 1, and then we can check if num1 is greater than num2, then we'll do local ascending, and we'll make this a Boolean. So if num1 is greater than num2, we'll do if num1 is less than num2, then ascending is true. Elif num1 is greater than num2. I don't remember what I said. I may have said it backwards, but my logic I'm writing is correct. So let's look at what we have so far. If the first number is less than the second number, then we know that we should be ascending. If the first number is greater than the second number, then we know that we are descending. Cool. And then finally, if those numbers are the same, then we know something is wrong, so we will return 1. And we return 1, let's document this up here, returns 0 if safe, 1 if unsafe. That's how we will signal if what we're returning is safe or unsafe. Because if these numbers are the same, it's not ascending or descending, it's unsafe according to these rules. So check first 2 numbers to determine direction. We assume each report will have at least 2 levels. Cool. Enjoying the session? Yo, appreciate it. That's awesome. I'm glad. It's fun coding. Oh my God, my watch is beeping at me that it has an update, dude. The future sucks. Okay. So now we know that we have a direction. Now we need to go through and calculate the distance between the numbers to make sure that's all valid. So we can do this in 2 passes, and there's probably a faster way to do this. Let me think about how I want to approach this. Let me think. Okay, I know how I want to approach this. We'll get the length of the array, and then we'll start the count with I. We'll start the count at 1 instead of 0, because we're going to look at this item and the item before it in the list. This is how I plan on doing this. I less than len, I plus plus. Do, done. Okay, so what do we have here? We're going to look at right-hand side number and left-hand side number. So current and previous in a way. So we'll do prev equals levels I minus 1. Local cur for current equals levels I. So now we have the 2 numbers. So now we need to calculate the distance between them. So in order to calculate the distance between 2 numbers, we need to take the difference and then do the absolute value. So difference between the 2 numbers, doesn't matter which one we do, prev minus cur. And then we need to take the absolute value. Because we are in bash, we can just chop off the hyphen, the minus sign, if it's there. And if it's not there, this will do nothing. So this syntax says from the left-hand side, chop off the first hyphen if we see it. If there's no hyphen, nothing will happen. So now we have the distance between the 2. If distance is less than 1 or distance is greater than 3, then return 1. So we check to make sure, check distance bounds. So we're basically saying if the distance between these 2 numbers is less than 1 or greater than 3, then we are unsafe. We are returning 1 because we're unsafe. There's no reason to check anything else. The next thing we can check is the direction. So we can do if ascending. The nice thing is so here's a little trick I do. Because I'm in control of this ascending variable, meaning I, the programmer, will only ever set it to true or only ever set it to false, I can use it right here without quotes because I know what I've set it to be, and it will execute like a command, and the command will be either true or false. So if true, if we are ascending, then we need to ensure that if we are, let me think about this. If we are ascending and prev is not less than current. Okay. And prev is, if we're ascending and previous is greater than current, then unsafe. We should be ascending, not descending. Elif, not ascending, and prev is less than cur. We should be descending, not ascending. Return 1. Fee. Oh boy. Okay. So now we can close this loop, and I think we're done. We can just return 0 here because it was safe. I think there's still numbers that we have to calculate here, but I'll go through that in a second. Let me look at the chat. I didn't quite understand dist equals diff. Okay, I'll show you. So right here, we're calculating diff. Diff is short for difference, and this is just math. This is just basic math. You know, when you take the difference between 2 numbers, all you do is subtract 1 from the other. Well, once we have the difference, remember the difference could be negative or it could be positive. We don't care if it's negative or positive. We just want to know the distance between the 2 numbers. So the way you calculate distance between 2 numbers is you literally do the absolute value of the difference. So we can do absolute value in bash. We can. There's a way we can do this. We could say if diff is less than 0, then diff times equal -1 phi. We can do this. This would work. There's nothing invalid about this syntax. If the difference is less than 0, then we multiply the difference by -1, or we negate the sign and we're left with a positive number. But because we're in bash, we can treat numbers like strings. So we're literally treating the difference like a string, and pound sign means start from the left-hand side of the string and remove any of the characters that we see in this pattern. And hyphen means just hyphen. So all that means is if a string is like, 57, we start from the left-hand side and we remove the first hyphen, and now we're left with 57 without that minus in front of it. So we effectively turn a negative number into a positive number, and we leave positive numbers unchanged. That's all that's happening there. It's actually string manipulation on something that we've treated like a number previously. So that's how that works. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to process this report, and we're going to echo -n levels. I'm going to just print this out for my own sake. We're going to print out the level that we just processed, and then we're going to print out if it was safe or unsafe. So if process report, then echo safe, else echo unsafe fee. Okay, cool. So if we look at the original browser over here, we can see that for the input, we should have safe, 4 unsafes, and then safe again. And if we look at what we got with the terminal, we have safe, 4 unsafes, then safe again. It works. That's beautiful. We're calculating this. It's working perfectly. What's up, Eric? How are the puzzles going? Hey, they're going well. We're on day 2, part 1, and we are cranking through. We just made huge progress. How many reports are safe? Oh, so they just want to know the number of reports that are safe. Okay, well then we can do this really easily. If the report, then we are safe. So let's just do, we'll do num safe equals 0. Echo, no. Num safe plus plus. There we go. Echo num safe reports. Cool. So now if I rerun this, oh, I printed a whole bunch of stuff. Hold on. Where did I echo that stuff? There we go. 2 safe reports. That's good. That's what we wanted. So now, instead of using the example input, let's go ahead and use the real input. 516 safe reports. So let's pop back open the browser, head over here, and let's submit our answer, 516, and let's hit submit. That's the right answer. You're 1 gold star closer to finding the chief historian. Dude, this is fun, man. Advent of Code is like super fun. Shout out to the creator here. Like this is sick. Oh man. All right, so let's go on to part 2 here. What do we have to do with part 2? Part 2. The engineers are surprised by the low number of safe reports until they realize they forgot to tell you about the problem dampener. Oh boy, okay. What's the problem dampener? The problem dampener is a reactor-mounted module that lets the reactor's safety systems tolerate a single bad level in what would otherwise be a safe report. Oh, so we're going to get a larger number now. It's like the bad level never happened. Now, the same rules apply as before, except if removing a single level from an unsafe report would make it safe. Oh boy, okay. Wow, my brain just started churning so fast. It was like, this is going to be really hard. Wait, no, this is going to be easy. Let me read the whole problem before I start doing this. The same rules apply as before, except if removing a single level from an unsafe report would make it safe, the report instead counts as safe. This is tricky. More of the above examples reports are now safe. Okay, unsafe regardless of which levels removed. Unsafe regardless of safe by removing the second level 3. Safe by removing the third level 4. Oh boy, okay. Thanks to the problem dampener, 4 reports are actually safe. Oh boy, okay. This is a lot trickier than I thought it would be. But we're going to have some fun. Let's do this. I'm super enjoying this. This is a super fun thing. Hooray, problem dampener. Yeah, exactly. Problem creator. Calculate safe reports. Let's see. Let's CP this to calculate safe reports dampener. Did I spell it dampener? Did I spell that right? Dampener. Yep, I'm right. If I were to really go bash style with this, what I would actually do is take like a dash dampener argument and then change the logic based on that. But I'm just going to make my life easier because we're in the iterating mode. We're going to go through and just make a whole separate problem for this. Let's see. Okay. So if removing a single level made it safe, I mean, I can already think of really cheesy solutions to this. Like, I can think of really, really cheesy solutions to this. Like, just go through the array of levels, remove one, create a new array, and then test that array. Like, right? Like, that seems too easy. Is computational time something I need to worry about? Let me think about this. Calculate safe report dampener. Okay. Because what I could do is I could pass in an index here as the first argument, a level, and then I could call myself recursively having removed an item from an array. Yeah, so I think if something is wrong, then I should go through. This is just like if anything is unsafe, then I should go through and try again. So what I could do here is, if we're here, then the puzzle was unsafe. So I could go through and remove an index from the array and try all of them until I hit a safe one, if I hit a safe one. Let's see. So I don't remember how to do this in Bash, so we're going to learn some Bash right here on the command line. Let's make an array. Foo, bar, baz, bat. Okay, so we have an array with 4 elements in it. And if we print them, they look like this. Cool. Very straightforward. I don't remember how you subdivide an array. I think you can do this like 0, 1 or something. Nope. That's not it. Nope, that's not it. Maybe I shouldn't just be making up syntax. It's like this. Oh, yeah. So the first number tells it where to start. And I think this number tells it how many to go. Yeah. Okay, so the first number tells it where to start in the array, and the next one tells it where to go. So we can chop up an array and construct a new one. So let's think about how to do this. With the dampener. Puzzle was unsafe. So for I equals 0, I less than, we need the length of the level. I less than len, I plus plus, do, done. So now we're just going to loop over every element. So we're going to construct a new array. And in this new array, we're going to put everything except one item. We're going to filter out one item from every single one. So how are we going to do this? I think we can do this. We can take the original levels, start at 0, and go to I. Wait, hold on. Let me double check this syntax. If I set I equal to 2, can I just use I here? Like it's 2? I can. Okay, I don't need a $sign. That's great. I love Bash. Levels 0 to I, and levels I to nothing. And then it has to be I plus 1, right? No. 0 to I to... I think it is I plus 1. Yeah, so let's do a... J equals I plus 1. And we'll just use J here. Close this quote. And we should have a new array. Let me just echo new array just to make sure this makes sense. And then we'll echo levels here. So for each level that failed, we're going to go through and print something. Let me just run this. 2 safe reports. Oh, because I didn't run the right script. Dampener. Called one report and one reports. That's annoying. Syntax error. Cool. So, let's figure out where we got a syntax error from. Oh, yeah, look at this. I'm not indexing this properly like an array. Still broken, line 55. I equals 0, I less than len. Oh, yeah, len. In order to calculate the length of an array, you need a pound sign. You need the pound sign. I mean, this will calculate the length of a string too. You put a pound sign in front of it and you'll get the length of a string. If you use this array notation with the @ sign, you'll get the length of the array. So, okay, so for this one, 12789, this was unsafe. We're going to test 2789. We're going to test 1789, 1289, 1279, and 1278. Hey, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's it. That's it. We're basically done here. Cool. So now that this one was unsafe, we're going to go through and test all of these. Process, report, new array. And then if this was successful, this code's a little bit, I don't like how indented it is, but hey, here we are. If this was successful, then we can do num safe plus plus. Otherwise, and then break. We have to break out of this loop. We are done with this loop. We want to move on to the next one. But if it's not successful, then we won't ever increment. We'll just get to the end of it. So if this works, we should have 4 reports being safe as opposed to 2 reports. That looks really good. So if we run the original script, we can see if there's 2 safe reports. If we run it with the dampener, we can see that it's 4 safe reports. Awesome. We're done. That's it. This should work. Neato. So now, instead of the example input, we just give it the real input, and this should generate a very large number. 561. Is that right? I don't know. Whatever. Let's go over here, and let's put that in. 561. And let's submit. That's the right answer. You are 1 gold star closer to finding the chief historian. You have completed day 2. You can share this victory or return to your advent calendar. Bam! Look at that, everyone. We are 2 days into it. And I think there are, what? Are there 4 days up and the 5th day's coming up soon? This is hilarious. Oh, you just got here. Okay. Fair enough. Yo, I appreciate it. I'm super impressed by how well you can talk and code. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been working remotely for over a decade now, and you kind of have to get good at it. And only in the last couple of years have I started making content, especially this YouTube has been less than a year, and I do a lot of stuff on Instagram too. And you kind of you have to get good at it working remotely, and then making content kind of forced me to do it. And let me tell you, man, slowing it down and talking through problems actually helps me code a ton. Otherwise, I can get stuck in these where I'm like, I gotta figure it out. I don't know what I'm doing. I get too frustrated. I get too lost in the weeds. I can't see the forest of the trees. When you have to talk about it, you can't do that. So it's kind of cool. It started as a way to help people follow my train of logic, and now it's feeding itself. And I'm like, wait, I actually need to talk these things out in order to do it. Oh man, dude, this is wild. Welcome to the stream, dude. I can't believe it. So you make Advent of Code. So from what I could gather from the calendar, you've been doing this. Sorry, I don't know how to see old ones. I think it's events, right? Have you been doing this since 2015? Because that is wild. I have to say, this is super cool. I don't know if you were here earlier when I was saying this is my first time doing it. And I have to say, this is the 10th year. That's wild, man. This is awesome. This is so cool. Yeah, this is my first time ever doing it, and it's super fun. I love how approachable the puzzles are. I love how I love that there's example input and then there's real input. And earlier I tried to you get the input and got a little message saying the input was different for each person. I was like, there is so much little care. Not little care, sorry. There are so many times where there's just little things that I bumped into where I was like, so much care has been put into this. It's incredible. I'm genuinely impressed by this. I'm like, this is so cool. This is such a fun thing to work on. I am scared. I've seen some of the puzzles from day 20, day 22, and I'm going to be honest, it's probably above my pay grade when it comes to all the math, and some of them seems really interesting, interesting pathing and graphing problems. Super fun. We'll see how far we can get in Bash, but I can't make any promises when it comes to the later challenges. Oh man, I try to make it good, and I've definitely had a few years to improve it. Well, dude, honestly, this is so much fun. This is so cool. I'm so glad someone randomly messaged me on Discord, and they were like, hey man, you doing Advent of Code this year? And I was like, what's that? I was like, I don't even know what that is. So when I looked into it, I'm like, this is awesome. I have to do it. This is super fun. And I love it. Like I said, I think I said the puzzles take me about 45 minutes. It's like a perfect time. I don't know. It's just like, yeah, it's really good. I think the puzzles are like the right amount of challenging, the right amount of clever. I love the little story that like follows the whole thing. It's cute. It's a ton of fun. Oh man. If you want a totally different set of puzzles, many of the ones from 2019 involve building and then using a virtual machine. Okay, that's sick. I'm going to check that out. That sounds awesome. That sounds wild. That sounds really cool. Yeah, I'm curious to see how you even like implemented that. But I have to say, just the way that these puzzles work, where I have example input and you walk through the example input and then you show what the solution is, it makes it so easy for me to iterate that by the time I'm using the real input, I'm like basically confident it's going to work. Famous last words, I could eat this when I go on to like day 7, day 8. Maybe I'll get tougher. Like I know it's going to get tougher, but yeah, no, this is cool. Yeah, I can tell just a lot of care went into this. So I think it's super neat. Oh man. Oh, well, this was quite the surprise. I have to say, I respect you waiting until I was done with the puzzle to say that, because I didn't even think anything of it. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Got someone chatting. This is awesome. Oh, man. Yes, and then I show up with part 2 and invalidate all of your assumptions. I love that. You have no idea. I thought that was so cool. I don't know if you were here when I said it, but when I jumped on to part 2, I even said, like, if I were to do this as like a proper bash script, calculate safe reports, I would have taken the first one and taken some sort of like, with dampener command line flag. But because like it's cool, it invalidates all my assumptions, but it's no different than like, I don't know, some project manager coming up to you or some customer being like, hey, we also want our code to do this. And it's like, you realize that's so different. That challenges every single assumption I made. Like I didn't even realize I made these assumptions. So yeah, I love it. They're puzzles, but they're literally puzzles. Like you end up making assumptions to solve a problem, and then they have to go back on that, and you realize your inferences were incorrect. I think that's so cool. That's so funny. Let me see. I think day 1, let me remember if I did this. Calculate distance and calculate similarity score. Yeah, this one was so interesting because I first started by copying and pasting my code over, and then I sort of just ended up reworking so much of it because I was like, oh, it might not even have been useful to copy this code over. Like, what was I thinking? Let's see. Or I can use part 1 to give you a checkpoint of some subsystem, and then part 2 asks you to use it somehow, like the one you just did. I love that. I think that's so cool. Yeah. Like the first one changed how the day 1 had to change how I thought about the input. And you even like, that was part of the story. It was like, oh no, maybe the input is actually meaning this. I was like, okay, that's a cool thing. And then day 2 is like, no, built on what you have, reevaluate the data with these new constraints. And like, I don't know, they're done really well. Like I'm super excited for the next puzzles. Yeah, this is great. What is this index for removing the #hyphen? Because now we can't do faz equals #. You can escape the #, when you're doing that. So you can do #/#. You can do escapes to do literals that way. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I appreciate it. Like, dude, it's so much fun. Like, I think this is great. And it's funny because like I do content on Instagram mostly where I do way too much stuff in Bash and people are blown away. And I'm like, dude, I have to. Like, I love this scripting language. It's so much more powerful than people realize. So I have to approach Advent of Code using Bash. It's so much fun this way. Let's see. All I want is to make it easier for people to learn programming. So that makes me happy. That's awesome. I don't know if you're familiar with my content at all, but my channel is called You Suck at Programming. And I'm going to change the name eventually, but it's funny when people come in, they expect me to be one way. And I'm like, dude, I do this because I want you guys to learn. Like my favorite thing is to teach people and to show people things and show people how much fun it can be programming in all different ways. Like I deal with mostly sysadmin and operations and operating systems, but I love these puzzles. Like when you do these programming puzzles, it makes me better at my job. They all intermingle. Like, so it's cool to see, like going through these, I have to read a whole story, then I have to find the sort of problem statement, then I have to figure out how I want to approach it, and then I have to figure out what assumptions were wrong. Like there's so much in this where it's not just here's a question, give me the answer. It's like, no, really prove your understanding. So I love that. I think this clearly encourages learning. So I think that's awesome. Let's see. Well, hopefully you can use some AOC puzzles as subjects and educational content. That's a popular use. Hey, that's awesome. That's incredible. Yo, I appreciate it so much. Like, this is an awesome project. And honestly, like, thank you for jumping in. That's so cool. I mean, I have to imagine it'd be fun. Like, if I was in your position, like Googling advent of code and like live streams or seeing what content people make of it must be so much fun. It must be so cool. Like, I've only recently started making programming content. When I see people like stitch my content or even talk about scripts I've written, I'm like, this is mind blowing that people would even consider something that I made. And seeing how big this is, like, this has grown like crazy. Yeah. Awesome project, man. That was a really nice stream. I learned a lot. Thank you. And thank you, Eric, for creating this whole thing. Yo, yeah, agreed. 100%. I like the current channel name. I like the current channel name too, but the problem is a lot of people have this assumption that like I'm going to talk down to you. And I know I do that in some of the content. It's like a joke. It's a satire type of thing. But I get some people that like actually think I'm a genuine hater. I'm like, dude, farthest thing from it. Like, I want people to learn. That's at the end of the day, I want to teach things. Yeah, I float around streams whenever I have spare time. That's awesome. Yeah, I was super not expecting it to get this big. Yeah, no, I mean, it's great. It's super cool. I think you tapped into something. You tapped into something where when I describe it in hindsight, it seems almost obvious, but I'm sure at the time it's like completely novel. But like, of course, engineers want puzzles. We love problem solving and being able to have, here is your input, here is what your output looks like. How you get there, that black box is up to you. And now we live in like the world of like content creation. So many people can they can stream their puzzles. They can make content around it. They can come up with different solutions. People can compete. You can have different languages talking about the performance of it. Like, I don't even deal with like at my day job, I'm writing Rust and stuff. But when I'm doing this, I'm doing Bash, and my brain's already like, oh, I could redo this in Rust. I could use these crates. Like, there are so many ways to think about this. I don't know. I just love it. It fires up every part of my brain. So it's super interesting. Let's see. You're scratching an itch. There isn't Bash content, but a lot of people do it. I think that's true. I think a lot of people use the shell, and a lot of people use it daily, but they don't take the time to learn how to do it. So that's what I'm here for, to show it's way more powerful than you realize. Yeah, my thought is it's hard to learn by reading, quote, here is the reverse method, but easy to learn by saying, oh no, some elves got all their strings backward. What should we do? That's huge. Like, truly what you said there is huge. I think that this is like a larger conversation about learning in general, but one of the things I try to do is be able to speak clearly and concisely and deliver content in a way where it's clear and concise. I get comments on my channel like, I've learned more in this 1.5-minute video than I have during a 60-minute lecture. And it's like, yeah, because this is going to sound weird, but a 60-minute lecture is easy to do. I can yap for 60 minutes. It's hard to condense that into a small amount of time and give that to someone. And I think people don't appreciate that other people can learn through different methods. So it's easy to say, here is the reverse method. It really is easy to say, here is this algorithm, go implement it. It's hard to come up with a fun story and also put education behind it. That takes work. Like, whenever there's a puzzle maker. And the puzzle maker has put in like a ton of work to help you learn and have fun. Like, that, I'm super appreciative of that, but it's also just super useful for education. Don't miss my other messages about my behind the scenes talk. It sounds like you enjoyed it. Oh, sorry. Yeah, if I missed some of your messages, I apologize. I hid chat a little bit for when I was doing some of the actual work, so I wouldn't spoil anything. I didn't want people to kind of backseat too hard. I don't mind people throwing out what they think might be possible solutions, but I don't want people just to give me the answer. But yes, that sounds like I would super enjoy that. Actually, what I'm going to do is I keep a text document open at all times on my computer when I'm streaming because people give me good ideas. That's all. Behind the scenes event of code. Cool. I wrote that down so I won't forget it. Yeah, I keep another Vim window open where I just write down notes from people in chat. Yeah, it takes months and months of work. I believe it. I absolutely believe it. Like, I like, to create puzzles that are the right size, the right amount of difficulty, but the difficulty, even that's so hard to get right. You have all these engineers from different backgrounds. Like, for some people with a math background, some of these puzzles are probably easier. For other people with like a systems or, software engineering background, some of these puzzles that are more algorithm driven might be easier. So how do you weigh that difficulty? I can't even imagine having to work through that. Yes, difficulty is extremely personal. That makes perfect sense to me. And I mean, we see this every day. Like if you're working on a team with 5 people, a lot of the problems become less difficult because 1, 2, or 3 of those 5 people will know how to do it because different people know different things. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm sure, oh man, I can't even imagine. It must be fun looking through people's solutions to your problems and seeing how they solved it, because I'm willing to bet that you would see some novel solutions. Like you might expect, okay, here's 3 or 4 ways to solve this, but some people probably come out of the woodworking with the craziest solutions. I'd have to imagine. In general, I try to have adjacent puzzles use different skills and to have the puzzles increase in complexity rather than difficulty. Ooh, that's cool. That's a cool distinction. I would have never thought to distinguish complexity and difficulty. I like that. That's cool. I get into that more in my talk. Yeah, I'm watching. I wrote that down. I am watching your talk. This sounds super interesting. Oh man, this is awesome. There are tons and tons of solutions every day on our subreddit, and every solution is wildly different. That is so cool. Oh man. Okay, let me write that down too. Subreddit for Advent of Code. Cool, because that seems like something to check out. I never really browsed Reddit or anything. So it'd be fun to check that out. Let's see. Pretty sure a few people did a few years in Excel. That's wild. That is absolutely incredible. Not only the more efficient one, but like the ones that are more original, like the guy who solves them in NVim. See, yeah, that's super cool. I love like unique solutions like that. Excel, Minecraft, or on graph paper. There's something so beautiful about that. Like stretching a tool so far that it's so far out of its original intention. You're like, are you supposed to do this? It's like, well, they did. Like, it's one of those things where you look, you're like, this shouldn't work, but it does. And it's just, yeah, that's, I don't know. That's so cool. That's so cool. I'm still thinking about what an entrance told me to check the first sentence of the about page. Man, that was well played. That was incredible. How funny. Oh, I love that. That's great. Whew. Oh man. All right. Well, I am excited. I did day 3's problem in Shell. Hey, that's great. That's going to be my plan. I'm not going to do it tonight. I'm going to call the stream here. But I'll probably stream again, maybe tomorrow night. I don't know, whenever I have free. But it'll be like towards this time of night. When did I start streaming? Like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern time, 4 or 5 Pacific. So yeah, I'll probably do that. And I'll probably try to knock out 2 more puzzles. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, I'm trying not to like stream any of the current day's things or anything that can mess with the leaderboard. I'm just kind of doing them a day or 2 after the fact, just for fun, just because it'll be fun to go through this and I'm enjoying it. And why not share it with the people who follow me on here? So yeah, of course, gotta plug myself. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe, yada, yada, yada. I have cool videos coming up soon. People are interested in my reviewing of AI bash scripts. I have 2 more videos recorded, 25 minutes and an hour. So get ready for that new content. It's great. Other than that, don't forget that my website, you can reach my website in your terminal by curling ysap.sh. And it doesn't format super great because it's a little bit stretched out. Let me open my terminal just a little bit. There you go. Don't forget that you can curl my website to see it, or you can just go there in your browser and check it out. So yeah, gotta plug my stuff. But yeah, thank you everyone for stopping by. I'm gonna call the stream here, and thank you Eric for this amazing like project you've created. It's so cool. I'm so glad you stopped by. This is super cool. Like really awesome. I would have never expected that because in my mind, Advent of Code is this huge giant thing that's been going on for a while. And for the creator to hop in here, I'm like, what? That person's famous. Like that's a celebrity. What are you talking about? They would never jump into my stream. So that's super cool. Thank you so much for stopping by and giving me all your insight. And what a compliment to say that you appreciate the way that I talk and code at the same time. I have actually worked on improving that. So I appreciate that compliment more than you know. So yeah, thank you everyone for stopping by, and I'll be streaming again around the same time. Don't know when, probably the next couple days, and we'll knock out day 3 and day 4, and we'll try to see how far we can get. So yeah, that's it. Thank you everyone. Appreciate it so much. Well, it's true. Hey, I appreciate that so much. That's such a nice compliment. You have no idea. That's gonna stick with me for a while. I'm gonna remember that one for a long time. And yeah, I will check out your behind the scenes video because that sounds super interesting. Oh man, I'm excited for that. Oh man, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone for stopping by. And yeah, that's it. See you everyone. Now I have to figure out how to stop streaming. I'm like a boomer when it comes to this software. Stop streaming. All right, see ya.